Yeah. So today I want to check out some Cloak and Dagger. They got interesting origin story. From what I've heard, I just kind of hearsay from people to other people that I know. Um, hey, like and subscribe if you like what I'm putting out. Um, it's just hanging out, chilling, and trying to make a few videos. Trying to stream mostly, but yeah, we're usually playing games over here. All right, well, we'll get to it. Cloak and Dagger. Let's go.
Welcome back to another marvelous video. Today we have something special for all the Marvel fans out there. We're going to explore two very interesting characters who recently had a show that went on for 2 seasons before it was cancelled. These two are iconic characters from the 80s with powers that are a juxtaposition of each other, and they have mostly been on the outskirts of the Marvel universe even after their TV show.
Yeah. I never really. I think I remember seeing glimpses of them. I used to watch lots of Spider-Man and read some Spider-Man comics, but I guess not enough to know about Cloak and Dagger, but it was there.
These characters were created at a time when a very public war on drugs was waged by the government. If you haven't guessed by now, in today's
Dare. Dare. That's when it was released. Dare. No. I think it was probably was it the 80s?
this video, we're going to explore Cloak and Dagger,
Did he just
Marvel's
say...
forgotten duo and their dark powers. So sit back and enjoy as we dive in. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel.
Definitely
this
go
is a small click for you,
like and
for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who are Cloak and Dagger? Cloak and Dagger are teenagers with very different backgrounds, but they have one thing in common. They're both lonely runaways who go to New York to make a better life for themselves. Let's take a look at why they ran away before we get into how they became Cloak and Dagger. Tandy Bowen is the daughter of a multimillionaire from Shaker Heights, Ohio. Her father abandoned her when she was young, and her mother was too busy with her career and life to pay attention to Tandy. The only company she had was her boyfriend, who
So she resulted to doing heroin. No, I'm just kidding.
also leaves for college. Feeling lonely, she decides to take a bus to New York and hopes to become a dancer. Tyrone Johnson is from the slums of Massachusetts with a speech impediment. He witnessed a crime with his best friend Billy, who tries to run, fearing that they will be suspected. He is shot dead by the police when Ty's stuttering makes it hard for him to explain the situation. Feeling responsible, he flees to New York.
Damn. All right, so the conversion New York dancer and bouncer.
He runs into Tandy and considers robbing her, but ends up helping her when someone else
That's how it started. Oh, I'm gonna rob this. Nah.
steals her purse. The two bond
Somebody else
over this experience.
How do you bond over that experience? Oh, I was gonna rob you, but nah, I decided not to.
And become friends. Tandy naively accepts an offer from a few men promising food and shelter for runaways. Suspecting something wrong, Ty goes with her. The teenagers are delivered to Simon Marshall, a chemist who has been developing a new synthetic heroin for the crime syndicate Maja. He's been running tests on runaways, hoping
Maja, okay.
to create a potent drug to sell on the streets. The tests have fatal effects on the other runaways. Ty and Tandy somehow survive these injections. It gives them superpowers instead. Ty finds himself engulfed in darkness and is taken over by a strange hunger, which gets better when Tandy, who glows with light, is around. Ty hides his shadowy figure in a makeshift cloak and absorbs Marshall's thugs into his darkness. Tandy strikes them all with her daggers of light. The two call themselves Cloak and Dagger. They start helping runaway children, and they declare a war on drug crimes. Detective Bridget O'Reilly and Father Delgado both help them on their mission. We are introduced to them in Peter Parker.
That's a crazy origin story. Oh, we just did some drugs. We're forced to do some drugs.
The Spectacular Spider-Man number 6. When they're after Simon Marshall, Spider-Man finds Marshall, who confesses that he procured illegal drugs and had no idea that they would be used to experiment on people. Trusting him, he offers to take Marshall to the DA to confess, which is when Cloak and Dagger start attacking. Cloak engulfs him in darkness while Dagger attacks him with her light. The two manage to kill Marshall, and Spider-Man is enraged by their behavior, proclaiming that even criminals have rights. They attack him and disappear. He tries to gain information on Marshall and his crimes and finds out about the dead runaways from Ellis Island because of his experiments. He goes to Ellis Island, where he finds Cloak and Dagger attacking members of the mob for revenge. He tells them that he would have helped them to get justice if he knew, but they want to kill the men. A fight ensues, but Cloak and Dagger end up killing the men like they wanted. They vanish, leaving Spider-Man to contemplate all that has happened. The two characters made their first appearance in Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man number 6, and he's the first superhero they encounter. After a number of guest appearances in Spider-Man, they were given a 4-issue limited series. Its successful debut led to Marvel launching a bi-monthly series of Cloak and Dagger, focusing on their mission to end the drug trade. Now that we've explored their backgrounds, let's take a look at a few interesting story arcs from our favorite runaways. Cloak and Dagger, 1983. Due to popular demand, the two got their first on.
So they got 4 issues out, and then they just, I guess they all sold. They sold pretty well, I guess. I don't know. That's what they're pretty much saying.
Ongoing miniseries in 1983, which had 4 issues. The first chapter, titled The Priest, starts with the two seeking sanctuary at Father Francis Delgado's church. They tell him their story and how they used their newly gained abilities against the drug dealers in the city. At the same time, the police find bodies of different drug dealers who had a run-in with the duo. Father Delgado tells the duo that he has contacted the police to check out their stories while assuring them that he has not revealed their location. Cloak and Dagger come across a couple, Jerry and Alice, in a secluded alley when they are accosted. Officer O'Reilly arrives with the police, and a fight breaks out. Jerry is killed by a stray bullet, and O'Reilly blames the duo. The issue ends with them back at the church, with Dagger feeling guilty about the incident. The second issue follows the two taking down a man who has been tampering with normal headache pills. In this issue, we see more of Cloak's struggle with his powers and the limitations of Dagger's healing abilities. When she tries to revive a lady who dies after taking Tylenol, she finds that she's unable to do it because the woman is too far gone. We also see Dagger using her powers to get a hooker's body rid of all the dope in it. The two find the man tampering with children's pills. Cloak eventually ends up devouring him in his darkness, and the story ends with O'Reilly giving them yet another lecture. In the third issue, Dagger wants Cloak to give back the killer he has trapped, but he wants to feed on him instead of her light. Cloak runs away because he wants to stop stealing Dagger's light. This doesn't stop her. She continues to send it anyway, but the distance takes more energy out of her. Cloak gets to find her when her light finds him. He stops to give the killer back to O'Reilly first. The fourth issue starts with him reaching the hospital and asking Dagger to take back her light. In this, the two reveal their stories to Father Delgado and O'Reilly. They tell them how they got their powers and that they want to save others from meeting a similar fate. Mr. Negative. Mr. Negative is an interesting villain in the comics. His name is a reference to the negative in photography. When he turns into his alter ego, the color of his hair, skin, and costume are all inverted. He's originally a human trafficker and a Chinese gangster, and his real name was never revealed. He steals the identity of Martin Lee, a deceased Fujian slave who was heading to America. He was captured by the Maja and was delivered to Simon Marshall to experiment on. He is the only one who survives, along with Cloak and Dagger. The drug gives him the power to control both the light force and the dark force, creating two opposite personalities. Mr. Positive, posing as philanthropist Martin Lee, and Mr. Negative, a crime lord. He's primarily a Spider-Man villain, and in one of the storylines, he kidnaps Dagger after he sees her killing him. He uses his powers to switch her powers from light to darkness. She also now gains Cloak's hunger. Cloak convinces him to give him light powers so he can feed Tandy. Dagger now has Cloak's original powers, and he has hers. Their powers are eventually reversed. Marvel Knights team. Marvel Knights is an imprint of Marvel Comics. This stepped away from the long-running story arcs and focused on more standalone stories. It was the name given to Daredevil's team of superheroes, which consisted of characters like Punisher, Shang-Chi, Luke Cage, Black Widow, Cloak and Dagger, and many more. Dagger meets the Black Widow while searching for Cloak, who has left her side and is no longer able to control his hunger. Dagger teams up with Black Widow to stop a church from being robbed. The two then join Daredevil to assist on a mission given by the Punisher. Dagger soon becomes a part of the Marvel Knights team, partnering up with many other heroes and becomes friends with Black Widow. She brings Dagger to Doctor Strange so he can track down Cloak. Doctor Strange, along with the Marvel Knights, fights Cloak, and it's revealed that he has been possessed by Nightmare. Dagger manages to absorb his powers and free all of them after he captures them in his cape. Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. In 2018, a TV series was released with these characters at the center, but there were a lot of things that the show changed from the comics. One major change was their backgrounds. Ty is the one from a rich neighborhood, and Tandy is a thief. The two also gain their powers after being exposed to chemicals that get dumped in their water supply, and not because of experimental drugs. Their parents are also not completely absent. Ty's parents especially are still in the picture. The two also fight crime in general, and it's not just drug dealers they're fighting against. The two also go from being based in Ellis Island to New Orleans instead. I guess it does make sense that they were moved, since New York is already being overrun with other superheroes in the MCU. There have also been no cameos from other characters, which is a little disappointing considering the fact that the two were first introduced in a Spider-Man issue. X-Men 97. X-Men 97 is a revival of X-Men the Animated Series, and it continues the story of the X-Men. The series had a lot of cameos from popular Marvel characters. Cloak and Dagger make their official debut in the finale of this series. The two are seen in the riots in New York. The duo helps Daredevil in his fight against the Prime Sentinels. Cloak shows up in front of a store after Daredevil is thrown through the window. He brings Dagger along with him, and the two hold off the Prime Sentinels to give Daredevil enough time to recover. This is their first crossover outside the comics.
Oh, that's
Cloak
cool.
and Dagger,
So
powers and abilities. Because of his exposure to the experimental drug,
they moved him. The show totally moved him over. They're like, nope, we can't have a black dude as a thief. Like, what are people gonna say? Like, there's definitely a change. I understand. But I don't know. I always like to keep things original, but I understand why they changed it. And it's good to see that they had cameos in other shows. I didn't know.
Cloak has the ability to channel the Dark Force. He has the power to make portals and send people into the Dark Force dimension. He is more drawn to the darkness because of this link, but Dagger's light seems to satisfy his cravings temporarily. He can use his cloak to channel the darkness when he fights. He can envelop people in it, making them feel cold and numb. It also makes them have visions of their greatest nightmares and fears. Too much exposure to his powers can even drive people insane. Unless he releases them, it could drain their life force, leading to their deaths. He can also use the Dark Force dimension to teleport himself and others to different places. And his stutter goes away when he is Cloak. He also becomes intangible, allowing him to pass through objects. Bullets can pass through him without causing him harm. This ability makes it really hard for people to hit him in fights. And he also has enhanced strength. He is capable of seeing the fears of some people he touches. He has a constant feeling of hunger that can be satiated only through the light from his victims or from Dagger, but he learns to control it. Dagger, on the other hand, generates light force energy. She can produce daggers of light, which she can use in fights. She can control how they fly and make them seek specific targets. These daggers can track people, but they are the most useful when tracking for Cloak. People who are hit by this dagger have their life force disrupted, and she can drain it as much as she wants to kill them if necessary. Her dagger cannot affect non-living objects. Her powers can also purge a person and remove toxins, drugs, and other things from their body. It can also cure addictions in some cases. During her time with the Savage Avengers, she also discovers that she can heal people. She also has the ability to manipulate light, and she can project it into Cloak's dimension. She is also able to safely fly through his dimension.
Crazy cool.
and can help other people do the same. Her experience as a dancer makes her good at combat and dodging bullets. Overusing her power is something that can turn out to be fatal, but not using them for too long would also make her feel delirious, causing her to involuntarily discharge her energy. Marvelous verdict. Well, with that, guys, we've come to the end of yet another video. We've explored a lot of Cloak and Dagger's story arcs in this video.
That was cool.
Which of these did you like the most?
I don't know. The switching was crazy. I don't know why I understand why they switched it, but like I like to keep things original. It's just hilarious how they times have changed. You can't talk about people. They might get things are maybe too inappropriate and too touchy. But yeah, the funny it switched to the girl, the white girl, the innocent white girl. She's a thief. Yeah, shit changes. I see how it goes. But I like the story. I'll watch the show. I'm down to watch the show. Check it out. It seems like I don't know. I'll like it. I played them a few times in Marvel Rivals, which I'm gonna play in just a second. If you're seeing this, come join me and come hang out. I'd appreciate it. At least check out my streams. I'm always on Twitch and YouTube as of lately. Sometimes TikTok, sometimes Kick. I'm all over on every platform as Loki Godson. Sometimes my alt accounts are Loki Godson. Come hang out and come join me. All right. Y'all have a good one.